We just got a support issue in from one of our users who wanted to know whether it was possible to use calculated columns in pivoted layouts. They can use them in normal layouts, a table layout, but they weren't sure how to do it in a pivot. Basically this video is the answer to them, but hopefully it might be of wider interest as well. So first of all, this is a table layout. This is not a pivot layout, but let's first create the calculated column so we can see it. And so we'll make our calculated column to be the difference between any closed and open issues. It's a bit of a pointless example, but we just need the calculated column. So let's create the new calculated column. Let's call it diff. And let's make the expression. What did we say? We said it was going to be closed issues minus open issues. Now this is important when we do the settings. AdapTable knows it's a number, but we probably also want to make it resizable. It doesn't really need to be pivotable, but we definitely want to make it aggregatable because we're going to use it in a pivot layout in a minute. So there we are, we finished. There's our calculated column, and then there's diff. And if we move this to the top so that it's next to them, there we are. There we are. That's the difference between that and that. So now let's create a pivot layout, but let's use the diff inside it. So we will create a new layout and we will call it summaries, and it's going to be a pivot layout. So here in table layout, you can see that you get normal columns, but when we do a pivot layout, we get pivot columns. Now we don't actually want a pivot column in this layout. A pivot column is one when AgGrid very cleverly creates a dynamic column for each distinct item in the column. So for instance, if we were to do language, it would create one column for every value we have for language, but we won't do that for the moment. But let's group it in fact by language. So we will have row grouping, and this is important. This is where we will create our aggregation. So let's do open issues and we'll keep it as sum. Let's do closed issues and we'll keep it as sum. And then let's also now use our diff. That's the calculated column we used before, and that's sum. And there we are, that's all we need to do. And now when I go into my, here's our pivot layout, we can see that we've pivoted on here. If we go back to the regular layout, we see it in table view, and then here's our pivot layout. And now we can do anything we want with that. So for instance, if we do want to create pivot columns, we can. So we can make in fact it's added it to row groups license, but let's add it here. And now you can see that we have one diff for every one of those. Or if we want to have no grouping, we can do that, or we can get rid of it, and then we just have the total diff. So there we are. This diff here is a calculated column, but we can use it in pivoted layouts as much as we want. Hopefully that answers the question for a user and is also of wider interest. If you'd like to learn more about AdapTable, please get in touch. We can book a one-to-one demo or give you a free, no obligation trial license. Thanks for watching.